There are some great things going on with the Phillies right now as they are heading into a nice day off. The White Sox series should be more chances to rack up some wins. And let's continue to rack up some nuggets and information and insight with our buddy Jim Salisbury. Welcome in now our PHLY contributor, Jim. Nice to have you here. Happy Thursday. Last we spoke with you, Jim, we were talking about Ranger. Since then,
Yeah.
you mentioned Ranger being an all-star. I kind of want to start there because I want to say you were absolutely right. Ranger Suarez went out and had an incredible complete game, shutout, looked phenomenal. Cristopher Sanchez continued that
Yeah.
last night, minus that one run he gave up early. Your thoughts on just those starting pitching and how it's been rounding out for the Phillies to look like one of the best in Major League Baseball right now?
It's the best in the National League, in fact. I think that 12 quality starts out of 19, really good. Lead the league at best ERA, most strikeouts of starting staff, most innings. So, the starting staff has really delivered. I'll admit, like one of my questions coming into the season was, will there be a drop off after 1 and 2 or 1, 2, and 3, because you really, Wheeler and Nola are quality. Ranger has had great pockets of success in his career, maybe not for that 6 month period, but it looks like he's ready to do that. So the question becomes, what's the drop off after 1, 2, and 3? Well, there really hasn't been any. You've gotten, 2 out of 3 have been very good from Spencer Turnbull. He's going to pitch on Friday night. And Cristopher Sanchez continues to be eye-opening, continues to be kind of a discovery. Obviously, it started last year. I remember when they acquired him in kind of a nondescript minor league deal. I remember talking to Matt Klentak, who was the GM at the time. And, there are different ways you acquire talent, and you target talent. This day and age, a lot of, you use a lot of analytics in targeting guys. Well, Klentak, the day they picked him up, said, this was a pure scouting trade. Our guys put eyes on him, and they really liked him in A-ball. And the development people have done a great job with him. And he's come to the majors. He had a good year last year, gained a lot of confidence. And that's what I see right now is a lot of confidence. And he's had, 4 starts. Last 2 have been quality starts, been terrific. Last night racked up, big strikeout totals and helped deliver them a win in a series sweep. He followed Nola. He followed Ranger, who had a good start. They all had good starts in that series. So starting pitching's been terrific, 1 through 5. 1 through 5, and it's been really fun to see Cristopher Sanchez emerge, much like it was fun to see over the years Ranger Suarez emerge and maybe now fully blossom. So good job by Cristopher Sanchez last night. Good job, couple in a row, and see if Spencer Turnbull can continue it on Friday night. Who knows? That might be, maybe his last start for a while, because Taiwan Walker is due back next week. But you can never have enough starting pitching, and right now starting pitching for the Phillies, excellent. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely. They've been phenomenal, Jim. And I do want to ask you about Taiwan Walker and kind of how you handle that. But while we're on Sanchez, last night, do you think his changeup is one of Major League Baseball's best pitches? Because some of the advanced numbers on his changeup last night, he threw it almost 31% of the time. He had a chase rate of almost 67% and a whiff rate of almost 41%
Wow.
on that changeup pitch. The advanced analytics last year said that changeup was one of the better pitches in baseball. Do we really have, like you said, an absolute gem in our hands here with Cristopher Sanchez?
Well, I mean, over the last season and 4 starts this year, everything is indicating that you have developed a really good starting pitcher. I mean, he's not there yet. Just to get on a little tangent, I was really impressed with one of the things Trey Turner said after the game last night about how Sanchez is able to slow things down in key situations and execute a pitch, and that's kind of a learned skill for young pitcher. When you're a young pitcher and you come to the major leagues, it seems like you're kind of a 16-year-old learning to drive on the Schuylkill. Everything's going a million miles an hour. So being able to slow the situation down and really execute is a valuable skill for a young pitcher. I mean, he's 27. He's not that young, but experience-wise, he's young. Do they have a budding gem? Maybe. Yeah. You cite the changeup. That starts with having that good fastball, 97, being able to locate that thing. Now you got to be ready for the fastball. Here comes the changeup. If you're not ready for the fastball, if you're looking for the changeup, you get beat on the fastball. It's just such a respected pitch in baseball, the changeup. Even in this era of power, changeup remains such a respected pitch among baseball people. And yes, you're right. He has a good one. 9 swing and misses last night. He can throw it out of the zone and get chase on it, get swings on it. And that's, a lot of that is you got to be ready for the fastball. And it's looking like a fastball coming out of that same slot, coming out of the same arm speed. So it's a good pitch. And he's a really, he's becoming a heck of a young pitcher for the Phillies. It's been a few years now, but it's been a really nice pickup.
Yeah, and it's great to see how the rotation's rounding out. As you mentioned, top in the NL, also top in the NL in ERA with a 2.54 ERA and a 106 WHIP. And then also an impressive number that I saw, the Phillies starters have allowed a 207, 268, 325 opposing slash line, which is the lowest batting average, on base percentage, and slugging percentage allowed by any staff. And they also have the highest ground ball rate in the league. So as they're rounding out, it's been exciting to see the consistency from the Phillies pitchers, which now leads to the question about Taiwan Walker, because we have seen him progressing, getting back. He did have a start in AAA last week that he pitched 4 2/3 innings, did pretty well, had a 4-seam fastball that averaged about 91.1 miles per hour. But he's also been cleared to throw a bullpen session Friday. And there's a chance, as you mentioned, he's going to be activated from the IL as early as next week. So actually a little bit ahead of the projection of when he was supposed to return. So I know in the chat, Mickey was asking it, and Jim, I'm curious too. I know Jamie, you are as well. Now what do you do with Taiwan Walker? Spencer Turnbull's getting the start on Friday. He's been looking good. Taiwan is working back. What would you do?
I'd give Taiwan a chance to start. He pitched 172 innings for the team last year, which is great value in that. Obviously did not pitch in the postseason. But I think he's going to get a chance to start next week in Cincinnati when the turn comes up again. I mean, you projected him as a member of your starting 5. He just kind of wasn't ready to go out of spring training. Doesn't sound like he had enough throwing in the off season. And, he's benefited from this extra time. Can he pitch at 91, 92? We're going to find out. He's got that good split, but, you do need a little velocity to offset that. They're going to find out, but I think having pitched 170 plus innings last year, and, I'm still a believer there's great value in innings. I think he deserves a shot to get out there and see what you have. You're not going to lose Spencer Turnbull. He's a guy who can be a swingman. He can pitch out of the bullpen. And like I said, you can never have enough pitching depth. So he could become your 6th starter and stay in the bullpen for when you need a 6th starter. If knock on wood, if injury ever comes about or anything. But I think you give Taiwan Walker a look here, and not just 1 or 2. You got to give him a little time to get going here. You sign him to be a starter. And you got to give him a little bit of look. And if it doesn't work, then, you make a change. He goes to the bullpen and Turnbull or somebody else comes back. But that's kind of the way I see it shaking out. There's nothing definitively been said, but that's kind of the way my feel is.
So, Jim, if Spencer Turnbull goes out tomorrow night, and let's say he deals, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, decent strikeout total, obviously, Taiwan Walker's salary has a little bit to say of where he's going to pitch. Do you see a scenario not just because of the rash of UCL injuries around baseball, but because it is a war of attrition, it's such a long season. Do you see any situation where they can go to a 6-man rotation and maybe keep a Zach Wheeler on his regular rest, which he has said he prefers? Do you see that as a possibility for the Phils?
I don't. I think they would go with the 5-man rotation just because, keep Wheeler on his 5th day. Nola is very important. Keep him on his 5th day. He occasionally benefits from that extra day, but you get those early in the season with off days. I mean, they got an off day today. I think their plan would be to use the 5, to use the 5 guys and see where it goes and feel good that you have Spencer Turnbull as a swingman. He has some versatility, and you have that kind of depth. It's a long season, and if Turnbull goes out there tomorrow night and pitches great, hey, stand up and cheer. Um, like I said, you can never have enough good pitching, enough pitching depth. If he pitches well, he's going to solidify himself as a viable contributor in some role for the rest of the season, and it's a long season. So, to me, it's kind of a good problem to have too many pitchers, too many guys pitching well. Now it's up to Taiwan Walker to go out there and pitch well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, last one for me, Jim. I feel like every game and definitely every series, we've been seeing something different
Mhm.
that's been a positive, that's been coming into form for the Phillies, especially since it is still April. Now, with this day off, looking ahead to the White Sox series, coming off of the sweep, what is it that you hope we get from the Phillies aside from wins? What do
Right.
you hope we get from the Phillies in terms of production in this series that you'd love to see them progress and elevate in their game?
Well, I mean, you kind of nailed it. Wins. That's what it's all about. And they're 3 games over 500 now. So they sweep the Rockies. I know the Rockies are a down team, but you can only play the team in front of you that night. And they went out and took care of business with really good starting pitching. In the last 2 nights, they really, they hit. They scored runs. They put up multiples of runs. They hit home runs. They had 9 extra base hits in the series. We were scratching our heads early. Where are the extra base hits? So they had 9 extra base hits in the series. That's a good thing. They got to 3 games over 500 when we were wringing our hands about a slow start. That's a good thing, especially when you frame it around the fact that they didn't get to 3 games over 500 last year until mid-June. So we're in mid-April, and they're 3 games over 500. So good, that's a good thing. Trey Turner, maybe, first few games kind of spun his wheels. Well, he's really gotten hot and swinging it really well. Kyle Schwarber's swinging it well. To me, a real positive the last few days, even week. Johan Rojas just looks a little more comfortable, looks a little more like he's embracing some of these adjustments, and he's contributing a little bit. And I bet he feels good about himself. And last night, one of the things for a young hitter, one of the things I think he works on is pitch recognition. He picks up the spin on a hanging slider, and he just bat heads it off the center field wall. It really squared it up good, hit it hard, had another base hit the other way. But the thing that I thought was such a good sign on the double off the wall was, he picks up that hanging slider, stays back on it, and drives it. And as he's standing on second base, the fans give him this. It wasn't like a roar. It was like this polite, respectful ovation, almost like appreciative. It was like the fans were almost saying, "Hey, we know you're trying. We know you're working on things. We get it, and we appreciate it, and we're seeing progress." I thought that was the coolest thing of the night. It was really subtle. It was really quick, but it was kind of, to me, the coolest thing of the night. And it just shows how much Philadelphia fans, they know the story, they know what's going on, and when it goes right, they're very, very grateful.
So, Jim, I actually have two. One baseball question and then one as we let you go. Do the Phillies actually have a closer right now? I know Jeff Hoffman took the spot once from Jose Alvarado. Rob Thompson, before the year, said, closer, no closer. I'm kind of okay with it, but I'd love for somebody to go out there and take the job. Has Jose Alvarado taken the job?
I think eventually, maybe, they haven't named him, but he's the guy that's going to emerge in that role eventually, and he's probably going to get the most reps right now. I think Rob early plays some matchups, but Alvarado's he's got all the ingredients to do it, but so do other guys. I think Hoffman could do it. I think Kirkland can do it, maybe with a little more experience and be really good at it. So, they've the last handful of years been reluctant to actually tab a closer. I mean, Kimbrel made the All-Star team last year, and I'm still not sure they ever recognized him as the closer. And I know he had struggles late and in October, but he was pretty good, first half of the season and really helping him keep afloat. But I don't know that anybody dubbed him the closer. He just was the closer. So I think they have a variety of guys who can do it. I think at some point Alvarado is going to be the guy that emerges there, but obviously with more experience, Kirkland could be the guy. Rob has just been very reluctant to name that guy. And it's not just this year, it's been previous years. Girardi was reluctant to name that guy, which is, there's some irony there because they were together with the Yankees with the best guy ever, Mariano Rivera, but they don't have that guy here. But they got some power down there. They got some guys who can do it. Confidence is everything in this game. You got to get on a roll. I don't care what role you're in, ROLE. You got to get on a roll, ROLL, and have some confidence in whatever role you're in. And I think that's a huge thing in the closer position. I think it's a huge thing in starters. We've seen it in Sanchez. He looked like a very confident guy. And on the flip side, I think, you see it with a guy like Nick Castellanos. Maybe the confidence isn't there right now, but when the results come, he will be awash in confidence, and that's when he'll go nuts at the plate.
Yeah. All right. Last one for you, Jim. Now, Garrett Stubbs went on Foul Territory TV and said the new City Connect uniforms look like a sexy men's softball league uniform. What is Jim Salisbury's take on the new City Connect uniforms?
I agree. They look a little bit like a softball uniform. But, I understand what it's all about. I mean, MLB is a business and they're always seeking new revenue streams. So they're hoping that these uniforms catch people's eye and people go out and plunk down their credit card and buy them. And at first look, it looks like people are doing that. So the City Connect uniform, is a success. I would say in that vein, because you're trying to sell merchandise. I'm just a big fan of the classic Phillies white with red pinstripes. Their home uniform with a red belt and red shoes. And the thing I love most about that classic white pinstripe is those two splashes of blue in the star. It really pops. But I understand it's a business and a lot of teams are doing it. And I guess every team's going to do it eventually. A lot of folks don't get the color scheme. But the Swedish originally colonized Philadelphia or had a colony here. That's why there's names like Swedesford and Swedesboro and
Church. I used to live right by.
So that's why the blue and gold is here in the uniform. And all I know is they look like Matt Sundin and Borja Salming, two great Swedish hockey players playing for the Swedish national team. We'll deal with them. Hey, we'll deal. If you don't like them, you'll like them a lot better if they put up wins.
He's got to win
Exactly.
them. That's good.
If you win them, everybody's going to love them.
If they're winning, we like them more.
If you winning cures everything. If you think they're the ugliest uniforms in the world, if they go 12-0 in them, I guarantee you're going to love them.
They'll be flying off the racks. People will be buying them left and right.
No question.
Yes. Well, we've got a splash of blue ourselves. I'm surprised nobody noticed that we're all wearing blue today. We're like the blue man and a woman group. But Jim, thank you so much for taking time to join us and chat with us with your thoughts on the series and how the Phillies have been looking so far. It's always a pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure. Enjoy the off day. And, the Phillies got to keep cleaning up a little bit. The schedule is cooperative.
Yeah.
And then they go to Cincinnati and, see what happens there.